Okay.
All right. Let's call this meeting of the South County Senior Center to order.
Okay.
Um, Desperately now looking for I really thought I had there it is. There's the agenda. I thought I had it up there already. There we go. Um, we all know the meeting guidelines. All the board is present, plus the press. We have, I guess, two discussion items. One is public comment. Um, I would just publicly express my well, sadness that Chris is leaving
Yes.
his job, but also happy for whatever it is you're going on to, because you're clearly very happy about that.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
Joyce. I appreciate it. I'm
Yeah.
heading to Weston, Mass.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay. Oh,
I
well, good, best of luck there.
Yeah,
I'd
thank
like
you.
to,
They're lucky to get you.
while we're on the record, I too would like to just send a congratulations. I said it before we started recording, but very grateful to have your service to the towns in the last few years. You've been an amazing reporter, have always given us the truth, which is lacking immensely in this
Yep,
world today. And
yep. With
always trying to,
context.
yes, with context, always trying to find the right answer and giving the residents of Franklin County an honest account of what their government's doing and all the different things that are happening in the area. And I've never had worked with the reporters as talented as you, and I know that they're going to be so pleased to have you. And we'd love to see you back at some
Yeah.
point in the
When
future. Just as a
when the
friend.
1888 building is done.
There you go. Come back for a celebration.
No, how
Great.
about when we get a senior center?
There you go. When we get a
Yeah.
senior
Well, I don't
center.
want to jinx that. So
I want
Yep.
to say thank you so much. You've made my job a lot easier the past few years, and it's been great getting to work with you. And thank you for coming to say goodbye in person today, because when Paul told me, I was like, he didn't come say goodbye. So
Yeah, good.
All
Okay.
right. Okay.
No other
Um,
public here today, so.
yeah, there's nothing else on the agenda, I think.
Yep.
no.
No, our second item is funding the architect design for potential space at 112 Amherst Road. I think everybody got the proposal letter from addressed to Chris Dunn, as it should be, because the town of Deerfield is technically the group that has the contract. Um, and does anybody have anything they want to say about that proposal?
Yeah, can we just talk a little bit about what we're asking for and what they would provide? And then I was trying to kind of figure out how we're going to pay for it too, and just talking offline
Yeah,
a little bit with Jennifer and our accountant
yeah,
as well. So maybe we could flush that out a little bit too. So just
yeah. I think those two things are both important. Let's do the. You want to do the money first, Jen? Where did you find?
Um, okay, so for funds, Trevor pointed out, and I became, I'm well aware of, for going into this fiscal year, we were originally banking on having an quick carry forward of $18,000. We only have, I think,
um,
9,000 to carry over
yeah.
in
Mm,
the operations budget, and then we have $5,000 carry forward in the sorry, formula fund. I had to find the word for a minute. The formula fund grant from fiscal 25. So that was not something I had banked on having in the operation, or in the formula fund, to carry any funds over. So that leads us with so $14,000 is what we would carry forward, which, could go towards that 18 that I originally planned on. So we're a little short there, about $4,000. Um, but one of the grants that behind the scenes that was approved was through the PVTA for a medical transportation. So we have up to 4 hours a week, or so many hours for 26 weeks, to give towards Chris's budget salary for doing medical transportation. So he gets medical requests, so that money could be used to pay his salary for those particular adventures or travels. Um, so I would be able to potentially make up for his salary, et cetera, depending on how that works. So we may have a little bit more to reduce that gap to the 18,000 for the operations. Plus, one of the things that we're going to be doing is requesting people to help us if they want to receive the newsletter by mail, then maybe they could make a donation to put towards that.
Mhm.
So we're making that ask of people in the next newsletter, because that's where most of like the extra money for expenses came from, was the increase in the newsletter,
Yeah.
and also the increase in the new vehicle. But so that's part of it. So to address the $10,000 specifically, with the approval of the governor's budget, passed both the state house and senate, and it has the governor's signature. MCOA had lobbied for and received in the budget an additional dollar per older adult. So that would give us an additional $3,000, $3,027 for fiscal year 26 that we were not counting on having.
Mhm.
Um,
Hmm.
Mass in Motion is a 10-year grant that we started. I think it's been like 2 years, 3 years possibly, through FERCog and the state. And the senior center is helping with addressing issues for everyone in our community. Obviously, this particular segment would be geared more towards the seniors, but we are a place that anyone who's under 55 with disabilities can also attend. And with SNAP program that we work on, we could get, anybody can come in for that program. So it's kind of universal for services for any of our residents in the community. And that grant is usually $12,690. We could use that. We could use $5,000 from that account, because the other five would be going towards um, probably a few months of Chris's time working on the Mass in Motion projects with the community for like the working, the tax work off and the other things that we have in mind specific. And the other part would be used to fund our informational fair and cruise night. Our fourth annual event is going on starting in August, or August 20th. So, we would just use those funds for that. In the past, we had utilized funds for some of our movement classes for all abilities, but because we received the Fred G. Wells Trust
Mhm.
money grant, I don't have to use that money for that specific purpose this year. Obviously, if we had it available, it would be great, but
Because that was 5,000, right? It was
yeah,
off the bat. Yeah.
that's for the wells. So that will cover the costs, just under maybe $200 shy for
Yeah.
the balance class and the chair yoga class, because those average are actually 52 weeks times. So that's paying for one of the classes in full or half of each class.
Yeah.
So we'd be able to do that. So that would leave a balance to come up with about $1,973 for the difference.
So, yeah, and the other thing I told Jennifer offline too, I was talking with Brenda a little bit today and then going over just different funds that Deerfield had. We had back in FY 22, we had funded a senior center needs assessment and feasibility study. We had originally funded it in earlier, I think, with like 17,500, and then we funded another 25,000. And we had done, that was the work we had done at the Whately Town Hall. We had uh, a survey that went out and then a presentation and stuff earlier
The
on.
the
And
UMass Boston folks, right?
yes,
Yes.
that's right, Joyce. Yep, exactly. And so there is some money left over in that account, but I don't know if our language that we used in the capital improvement planning committee request is broad enough to cover this. So what I wanted to do was check in with our attorney and just view that and say, is this something we could use for this assessment? of this space for the senior center and say, is it, is it something that we could fund with that? If it is, we have some money there to do that. And
Would it
so,
be enough to close that gap, or
oh
would we
yeah,
still
it's
be?
like 30, there's like 32,000 in it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know, it all didn't get spent, so we could either we could reallocate it at fall town meeting, but we wanted to jump on this sooner, like right away. So if we had to go back, that would be tough. But so that's why I was going to talk with our attorneys and talk with Christopher Dunn tomorrow and just see,
Okay.
is this money available to us to be able to help close that gap? Or if we're only down to 1973, we could probably find money somewhere in our budget. If Sunderland could find a little bit, Whately could find a little bit to cover this little gap. We could at least get the assessment going with
Yeah.
EDM,
Yeah. Yeah.
at
That
contracted services or something like that for Deerfield or.
right. Yeah, I think it's hard without an appropriation.
Right.
So we uh I think that's gonna. I mean, I don't want to have to go to town meeting for 300
$1,200.
$300 or whatever our
Yeah, that's
share
what
ends
we'd
up
probably
being.
pull it from, like contracted services or something like that, or,
Um,
somewhere we had.
so it's like when you say the number of the gap again, please.
Yep, $1,973.
And I would still want like a letter from FERCog that they would approve that, because I'd hate to have them come back and go, hey, this wasn't what our thought.
Yep.
But you heard from her in the meeting that she thought that
Yeah.
was a reasonable thing. We just get a letter from them, and I could talk to Linda as well and just see what they, what they say. But I'm sure they'd probably, I mean, they're all for like regionalization and getting us going to move somewhere. So I think it sounds like that's what they're looking for that grant money to do. And then with the formula, extra money from formula fund, it's really not much to come up with. And then just throughout the year, we should really focus on the budget and find out ways to kind of try and come up,
Yeah.
save
Well,
where we can.
the first year that I started, I used what we had and didn't even touch the carry forward funds. So
Correct.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm good at doing what I need to do for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So I would only need to come up with, or to make sure to be strict with $4,000 for our operations between the 9,000 carry forward and then the 5,000 carry forward from the from the formula fund.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be okay with that. So
Great.
that's out of the budget piece, which I could make sure we do.
Yeah.
The other, so it would just be getting that letter from FERCog specific for
Mhm.
the usage of the architect. One of the comments I heard you make, Trevor, before was, what would we get for that? And
Yes.
Hmm.
so
Do you want to move? Can we
Oh, sorry, go
finish up
ahead. Yep.
there's kind of two topics. One is, do we have the money and do we have the wherewithal to get it? And
Right.
then the next topic is, what are they going to do? And that kind of gets
Yes.
to the letter. But can we
Yeah.
wrap up how are we going to
Money
get the
first.
money part first?
Yep.
So I would, like I would make a motion to approve moving forward with this, provided, that we could secure the funding through available funds. And then that would kind of approve that, and then I could have a meeting and we could kind of sort this out over this week and make sure, talking with our accountant and attorney or FERCog, just kind of nailing down this extra money and making sure we're good. If we can do that, I would move forward with the process. But I'd also like to hear what we're getting for the 10 too.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But I sort of, okay.
And what's chicken
I'm
and
not
egg thing?
comfortable with where the money part is
Me
landing
neither.
right now.
Me neither.
So
Yeah.
I'm grabbing a pen and
Yeah.
grabbing a piece of paper here. That one?
I don't think we have a solid
Yeah.
answer to that.
There's that one. So this might be a little bit repetitive from Jen, but basically you're saying 5,000 from
Mass motion.
Mass in
the
motion.
Mass in Motion grant,
Yep.
and then 3,027 in unanticipated.
Formula fund
Um,
grant.
And now, has that actually been approved by it's been approved by the governor and the Senate, you said?
Well, both the House and the Senate approved her budget
Oh,
and
House and
she
Senate.
signed
Okay.
it. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, so
House.
this is signed into law. So
Okay.
this is
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
signed to law for Massachusetts.
Oh, okay. Dollars per senior. Okay.
Yeah, we have $16 up from last year's $15 per older adult.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where the 1973 came from.
The
Now,
gap.
I ran
leftover.
that through the new funding formula, even though that's not approved
Yeah,
in all the towns yet.
yeah,
It comes to $1,068 in Deerfield, $550 in Sunderland, and $355 in Whately. And
okay.
I li- I like to think that I could come up with $355 in the, I don't know, I don't want to say couch cushions, but
No, yeah, but just.
because that might end up in the press. But
Quits Larrabee says as he's parting. Stop getting senior centers digging through their cushions.
Hey, I don't have a
um,
couch to dig. Well, actually, I have a couch to dig through. I don't know if I can come up with $300 though.
right, right. So I mean, I feel like that's maybe
Doable.
something we ought to be able to do, but I feel a little unsure. Like when I
Yeah,
send right after this, I send an email to Pete, and he
mhm,
says, "Not without an appropriation, lady."
yeah,
Um, but, but maybe if it could be a reserve fund transfer, or I
correct,
don't know what
correct.
um, to what. So that but we would have to like get on that, like
Yes,
right.
Can
yeah.
can I ask a question?
Sure.
So Trevor, when you talk to legal, can you tell them that we need a quick turnaround on that?
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll get an
Okay.
answer pretty quick. Yeah.
Because I don't know if we ever got anything back from Wheatley's legal for the other thing, but that's another
As-
topic.
I will check into that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah. As far
That's fine.
I think if we had heard back, then he would have gotten to me on that.
I'm
Right.
sure.
Yeah, no,
So
I've got a meeting tomorrow at Town Hall at 11 for some sewer stuff, but so I'll be there and I'll have this on my list to talk. I'll reach out to council, I'll talk with Christopher Dunn about it and Brenda will be there too. I can touch base with her again.
Yeah, that'd be
And
great.
then, maybe we could pull another quick meeting together early next week if needed or something like that, just to finalize,
yeah,
hey, this is exactly where we're getting the money from. Everybody could do their jobs in their towns to kind of see where they can come up with this.
Yeah, because the feedback from or the email that I got back from Mr. Warner basically, was like sooner than later. They
Yeah,
wanted somebody
for
else
sure.
yeah, yeah.
to be in there. So
Yeah,
I think that's
they made
standard,
it
but
clear that they've got a deadline, and that's
That's fine.
that's reasonable and a good thing.
yep.
Absolutely. Keeps us
Yeah.
moving. Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
So,
I feel like since we kind of have the majority of this, upwards of 80% of it, scrounged from within the
mhm.
grants, especially, and some unexpected funds from the senior center, then I think that's an easier ask
Yes.
in
Yes.
each of our
And
towns.
then to come up with all of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, and let me see. 10, 16, 50, 550. I'm trying to add up these numbers and see if I rounded something too much because it doesn't look like it adds up to. Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, that
Yeah.
adds up. Yep, that adds up.
Okay.
So the Sunderland number was 550, Whately 355, Deerfield $1,068.
550, not 60. Okay, 560. Okay,
Oh yeah, 550. Yeah.
Yep.
okay,
The
thanks.
1068, 550, 355.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So I'll
Okay.
obviously talk to Becky, and then we get select board meeting Monday.
Great.
And we have one coming up Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I will, okay, so we all have that homework.
Yeah.
Just an
Uh,
FYI, I am not available at all to meet on Tuesday. I am working remotely, but
Okay.
I
It's
gonna
fine.
be unavailable for a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Well,
That's
we presumably won't have any answers till after Wednesday
Yeah.
between the
Oh,
three
next
towns.
Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, today's Tuesday. Sorry, I thought you
Yeah.
meant tomorrow.
Next Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. All right. Then let's talk. Are we ready to talk about
Yeah.
then what's
Yeah,
in the
what's in the contract?
proposal?
Yeah, the proposal.
So,
so the proposal letter I forwarded to everyone,
yeah.
this morning, I think it was.
Yeah.
Blending together. Sorry, we're only on Tuesday. So in that, basically, they would not hold an open house like we did last time, but they would take all the information accumulated, and analyzed and collected from the previous open house based on the Whately, Sunderland, and Deerfield design for a brand new building with that 16.9 million tag. Um, they would take that data and go with placement based on the plans that I forwarded over to them that I received from TJ, Mr. Conroy
Yeah.
from Delta Sand, just to make sure that they had that information to look at. Basically, we'd get a bare bones you know space where we would be able to put everything, how it would work. During my conversation, it pretty much looked like if we do any major renovations, that would all trigger, um, you know, the elevator issue that we talked about. But after discussions, it was suggested by someone who was part of the group that walked through to what if we reversed it and made everything on the main level so that you would really not need to have people go to the second floor or the top floor, so we could potentially get around that.
Yeah.
Part of
That
It
me
would at
feels
least
like,
put
elevator.
less, it'd be less pressure on the elevator, basically.
Yeah. And we could
And
ask for that exemption or waiver
we,
from the state. Is that how it works?
right, if needed, but we'd have to get $360,000 worth of improvements to the building to to to
Trip that.
to tick that to trip that. And that's an awful lot. It's 30% of the building's value. And I don't know if it's market value or assessed value, but the assessed value is 1.2 million. So 10% is 120,000 and 30% is $360,000. I don't think we're going to have $360,000 worth of things we need to do to the building.
yeah, I don't
But
know.
so it,
So,
but I still think the elevator issue has to be
yeah,
addressed
number one, yeah,
in the sense of like what I really liked about the proposal is the thing we really need is to conduct a review of the applicable codes and standards to determine the requirements for this type of project and building.
yeah.
We need
And
an architect to
what I,
tell that. I mean, that's the thing we really need, and the other stuff is all stuff we need as well. But if
yeah,
they can figure out a way for us to use that building with that elevator,
mm-hmm,
um, and give us some estimate of what they think it will cost. See, their estimates are not going to be accurate, and I
fine,
think Delta Sand and Gravel, reading the same document for these are the improvements you'll need, will be able to come up with a much better estimate
yeah.
of
So,
cost.
and my biggest request for this process is that, yes, that answer on the elevator, what triggers it, the change of use of the building, all of that. What I really want to know out of this report is if it does need the elevator, how much, and how much do we think an estimated cost for the kitchen would be in the basement? And then probably like pull up the carpets on the second floor so we had tile down,
Right.
like for the exercise area. Those
Yeah.
minimal kind of like, what's the minimal cost that we would need to have? And then that way we could go to the owner and say, if you remodeled this, how much would our rent be? You know, if you took on the responsibility to be
Exactly.
able to do it for less. So those are the kind of things. And I guess if we talk to the, I would love a conversation with EDM before we kind of sign this, just to say, just to make it clear, like the items we're really looking for.
So
Can we get in
if
this
you want to
building?
send me an email, Trevor, so
Yeah,
far I have estimated cost with the elevator,
yeah,
the commercial kitchen,
yes.
um,
And whatever to make the exercise space, you know, with like those carpet tiles, maybe
well,
paint
so
the other tiles or whatever
so
it's.
we're so if I guess my thought is on two pieces with that. If, the cost with the elevator is astronomical, you know,
Yeah.
with all of that, then what about doing that flipping thing where we talk about making the second,
I
the
honest,
main level?
Right.
I honestly
But
think we want this whole building. We
Well, no,
yeah.
want,
no, I want
Uh,
to use the whole building, but it's just,
No, I think Jen she said flip it so people don't go to the second floor. I don't think she means they don't ever go to the second floor. It's
no,
use
it's
the
just not the
programming
main floor.
space. The
I
main
see.
programming is done on the first
Thank
floor
you, Joyce.
so that there's less pressure on the elevator
Got it.
um, for people going upstairs.
Great.
And
So
I
you
got,
do your
thank you.
smaller programs
Yeah,
in rooms on the second floor. Maybe offices would
yeah,
be on the second floor for the staff,
yeah,
yeah,
and then uh, and and have the first floor be primarily space
for
uh,
programming.
for programming. Uh,
Gotcha.
and
That
Joyce,
it,
can I
makes
oh,
if
sense.
go ahead.
if we have to if we ever get to the point where we have to make a good argument for why we should get a variance on this elevator, if we were to get there, then I think we've got a good argument if that's the case.
Yeah,
But I think the architect who went over there, Lauren, said you're gonna, if you have most of your programming on the second floor, she's like, how are people gonna get to class on time?
yeah,
For, kind of from the point of view, oh, everybody's gonna want to take the elevator, and I don't know that that would really be the case, but it's
right.
also going to be true that people are going to use it.
Yeah,
Maybe not as, especially with that age group. So
yeah, yeah.
there, it was more a way of making a variance be a reasonable thing. You said you have a rough cost for a commercial kitchen, Jen, is that right?
I don't have a total breakdown of everything. I know that when we were plotting everything, or
Yeah,
putting everything together to get all the equipment and everything else about a year ago, that was around 25 to $30,000 for the equipment plus around $25,000 for an Ansel system.
Okay.
But
uh-huh,
um there would probably be a couple, some additional changes by adding different tables because that space in the basement is larger than the space that we were looking at utilizing here. Um,
uh-huh,
so, I'm in process of that. I was trying to get all the other pieces put
yeah.
together for
But
some of
what
that.
if we double that? That's 100,000.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not going to trigger the elevator.
Correct.
So I think and
Yeah,
if we only have our physical volunteers in the downstairs where the kitchen is, there would be no need for people to use we wouldn't have to install an ADA bathroom on that floor because contrary to my first thought, there are two
Nope.
ADA
Did I miss
bathrooms on the
anything?
top floor, two ADA bathrooms on the middle level.
yeah,
So that would help us out a lot there. And then there's just the regular stall and urinal in the current downstairs bathroom or level.
yeah, yeah.
So I just want to clarify. So you're saying if there's the only way that would typically be triggered is if there's a 30% renovation value of the building?
Right. If the renovation you're doing exceeds 30% of the value of the
Right.
building,
Okay, I didn't
that's
realize
the
that
normal trigger.
either.
And really, it's
Um,
only the elevator, I think, that would trigger that. Everything
yeah,
else has
I
been
mean,
updated. Yeah,
right. So it may be that we won't technically be in trouble with the elevator because the renovations won't necessarily hit the level where it would trigger that. But what Lauren was saying was you're going to be in a little trouble with the elevator if all your programming is up on the second floor.
right.
Any
Right.
case. Yep.
Um, and it might be that the folks at Delta Sand and Gravel know just how to take out those walls and put the new ones, and
Yeah.
they may know exactly how to do that and be able to do that for less than $360,000.
Mhm.
um, right?
Yep.
So I mean, to some extent, we'll always want a bigger elevator, but
Yeah.
we're never gonna. Well, I
Just
shouldn't
to
say
get in the
never, but
building.
we're unlikely to have a perfect place. Let's not let perfect be the enemy of the good here.
Correct.
Can I ask a
Correct.
question, Joyce? Um,
Yeah,
So I know, like at the Whately Town Hall, we utilize the lift for some folks, but most of the people going up there are for the enhanced fitness class that we hold 3 times a week.
yeah,
The majority of people can use the stairs, just
yeah.
maybe a couple people need the lift. So how were you able to just install a lift because it is, I mean, it's kind of a similar spacing wise. Um,
I don't know the detail of that answer. I think uh, it must be code compliant to whatever level they had to do.
Mhm.
But I don't have I think I know who might know. Fred Orlowski probably knows if you
okay,
see him, because he
yeah.
was much more involved in that.
I was just curious because I didn't know if it was because it was an older building, so there may be some variations on that, but that
Mhm.
was an addition you had shared to make that.
Right, we put an addition on to be able to put an elevator in at all.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, thank you. Um,
and
yeah, so
going back to that proposal letter, I am not that worried that they don't want to come and do the town hall. I think we can do that. I think that's perfectly fine, that they'll give us all the information. We'll be able to ask lots of questions of them at whatever
Yeah.
meetings we have along the way.
Agreed.
I think we can do the town hall.
Yeah,
Um,
we can talk about, we'll have enough
yeah,
knowledge to
we
do a
can do the forums, I guess
presentation.
is the better word for it.
and
Exactly. I agree with that.
they did say that they would have one Board of Oversight meeting on their schedule for the updates.
Okay.
That was in there, so
So,
we'll get that.
yeah, because I was going to ask that, is that like that's an intermediate report? Or is that
I will ask if that's intermediate or final.
yeah. Um, I was a little concerned that the way they phrased one thing,
Sure.
um, under existing building analysis, the first bullet point, they said a cursory field visit of the existing building to obtain general existing systems information necessary to the project scope of work and evaluate the condition of the existing building, including architectural, structural, plumbing, HVAC. Just sort of the cursory field visit sounded kind of odd, because the building right now doesn't match the plans, those
Mm,
PDFs that you
right.
have. They don't match exactly, right? But it sounds like that may be enough, and they just need to kind of see what is there compared to the plans you gave them. Is that your reading on that?
So when I spoke with Chris Wanty, he basically shared that they would go through and do a physical analysis of the entire building, like they did before when they walked through the 1888 built or the
Yeah,
1821 building. And then, you know, I did email over the plans. So the ones that I uploaded to the
yeah,
Google or the G Drive there, Google Drive,
yeah, yeah,
um, those were all the plans that I received from Delta Sand.
okay,
So it had the 1972s, it had the renovations in 2010 or in 2020, what I think, whatever the years were listed on those.
yeah,
So I
okay,
think they'll be able to see a lot because I think the first initial the 1972 building plans were 18 pages. So, it didn't have the modifications, but those other ones did show
right.
the modifications. So I think we're
And that's got the skeleton, and I mean, a lot of the modifications are just moving things that can be moved, right?
One of my concerns a bit is so I understand they're not going to create a set of, says create measured existing building floor plans in AutoCAD format to the level appropriate for the study. They're not doing that. And they're not doing regulatory approvals, services for the procurement of regulatory approvals for the project, such as planning and zoning, will be handled on an hourly basis as needed. So I want to just check on that. I mean, that's really what we need, right? Don't we need to know what's the regulatory requirements for us to get in there? Number 6 on the exclusion.
I think because we would not be doing the work, it would not be appropriate for us to be procuring
I see. I just,
if
yeah, I'm just,
if Delta is doing the work, then it's their building, then
mhm,
they've got to apply for the permits,
right.
right? Or
Yeah,
whoever they're
that's
hiring.
fine. I get that. I just wanted to make sure, like, a review of like, hey, if we change of use here, you're gonna need such and such.
Well, I think that's covered in the bullet point that I read early on.
Okay,
Conduct a review of the applicable codes and standards
perfect.
to determine the requirements for this type of project and building.
Okay, I'm with you.
That's the part that
Yep,
like that was the thing that as we were looking at this building and trying to make future plans, that was the one thing we didn't realize we needed until just a few weeks ago, and that's to
yeah.
me the really important part.
Okay,
Um,
great.
I
um,
I
go
also
ahead.
think just looking at the regular or the number 6, the regulatory approval, I think that is probably going in front of, like when you go in front for meetings,
Planning
things like
boards and
that in front
stuff.
of the planning board. I think
Yeah,
that's what that's referring to. I
okay.
think,
That's
and
later
I can
down the road.
clarify that, I
So
think the
that,
goal is to get the plans,
yeah,
and do it like they did for the other designs. We
yeah,
didn't get them to go further than
right.
just showing where we would
That's fine.
put everything.
Yeah,
So whoever is going forward in front of the planning board at that point, I think that's what that pertains to, in
It
my
should only
Yeah.
be,
interpretation.
it shouldn't be
But I can
planning
ask
at
for
all.
clarification if you want me
no,
to.
no, I think you're right, and Joyce pointed out what we're asking for in that bullet, so I'm good.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
good.
Yeah, it should only be building anyway. I don't think you need anything for planning board. I mean, unless we're doing some kind of changed use
Well, we
that
are
gets zoning.
changing
Yes.
usage. When
So
we
then we
were
have to go to
there,
zoning? We have to go
well,
to
when we
zoning.
were there, is it John, the building inspector
Yeah.
said that,
Tom,
Tom, thank you, Quinlan, said that we would have to go in front of the planning board because you are
Okay,
changing usage.
okay, okay,
Because
so
it's
it's a
not an
zoning thing.
office
yeah,
building.
right.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, but it's also not a particularly controversial one.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
that'll be fine. I think
And
it'll be fine.
yeah,
okay. So
and
I
I
feel
think that
pretty good about this. It looks
yeah,
looks good to me. I mean, it covers everything we want, and then I guess the real thing is us just kind of sorting out this money this week,
Yeah.
figuring what we can do, and then circle back next week for a quick get together.
Yep.
yeah,
And I'm looking for more solid numbers on furniture and other soft costs,
Right.
so we can have all of that moving forward.
Yeah. I think
I don't know what other pieces we could potentially need later on,
yeah. I
but
think
just going for the like pots and
initially.
pans and all of that, I'm including everything in that portion.
Yeah.
But that's going to be tangible stuff that's not renovation stuff, so I'm going to
Right.
segregate the both.
And I think, yeah, once we get before a forum, I think once we've found out this building is doable, this is what we think it'll be, here's what our rent's gonna be. Um, I think when,
do
and
you
then
need a charger?
have that separate kind of, soft cost tables and, linens and whatever we're gonna need for, exercise equipment, that kind of stuff as a separate capital thing would be good to have up front as much as we can, like, just so people are prepared. They don't get one number in their head and go, oh, look, they're looking for more, or they're building a garage mahal or some other thing. But it's just always good to have as much data up front, clear, this is what we're going for, this is what we think is what we need, blah, blah, blah. And so before we get into a forum, we should have kind of those soft cost numbers too.
Yeah,
The date that so Chris Wanty basically suggest or said that they probably couldn't get this to us until October.
Okay,
when
So
they say October, would that be early
I
October?
am hoping, because I told him we were looking to go forward with community forums, and then we have to do a special town meeting to
yeah,
increase the
we've got
budget.
quite a
Yeah,
few different special town meetings, so.
Do we already have dates for special town meetings?
I don't think we do yet. I don't think we do in Deerfield yet, but
we don't yet, and they're often not set until like if we're
right.
having one at say at the end of October,
Yeah,
we might not set the date until September.
correct.
Okay. Well, do you want me to ask if there's any way possible to get it at the beginning of October? Or
Yeah,
we
we could certainly hint to Chris and
Mm.
those folks that
We have town meetings coming up, so sooner the better would be great. But
Okay.
yeah,
yeah,
and the sooner we can get our info to them, they can get started, you know what I mean? Or at least get it in their
Yeah.
schedule. Yep.
So I guess at this point, we just have to figure out the difference of funding, or
Yep.
if we can get the other piece from legal. So I'll just let Chris Wanty know that we're in process and we'll be in touch as soon as possible.
Yeah, yeah, I think
yeah,
that
and
works.
we expect that to be maybe next week.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, then maybe this group should schedule a next meeting for next week. And honestly, other than my Board of Selectmen meeting, which this coming week is Tuesday, not Wednesday. And then you each probably all have Board of Selectmen meetings Monday, the 28th and
Yeah.
Wednesday, the 30th. Would sometime on Thursday, July 31st work?
It probably could in the afternoon, evening for me, because I've got a
Yeah,
Pella function like from noon to 4, but afternoon I could do.
I have the
yeah.
evening of it, or I have after available. I mean, I know that's asking
Yeah.
you to stay up late over there, but
Let's do
After what
5.
time?
Do 5?
I could
I
do
could
5.
we could do 5 again, that's not a problem.
That would work.
Okay.
All right, so 5 p.m. July 31st, and I'll
Right.
post I'll
Okay.
send that out to all the towns tomorrow.
Okay, and we'll do our best to get all the info by then.
Yeah, and if we need to reschedule, we can, but let's try to have everything done by
Right.
by that date.
Okay.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
And
Okay.
Trevor, if you need me to go over to town hall tomorrow, just let me know.
Okay, I'll let you know. Sounds
Okay.
good. Sounds good.
Okay.
All
Great.
right.
Yeah,
Thank you
so
all.
5 o'clock, July 31st, and that's pretty much it. If anybody has any commentary in the interim, please send me a direct email. Let me know. I'm happy
Will do.
to make calls, research, connect, whatever.
Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, thanks for staying up
All
late,
right.
Joyce. Appreciate it. Hope you had
Okay.
a good
And
time.
I
Wait, one
guess
last thing. I'm stealing
we
Garage Mahal.
hmm?
Garage Mahal, I love
I'm
it.
stealing that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we technically need to
Motion to adjourn?
go through the adjourn motions here.
Yes.
Everybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay. Our motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. I'll do the roll call vote. Trevor,
Aye.
Dan,
All right.
Joyce, aye.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris
Great.
Larrabee. We'll miss you
Okay. Everybody, do
tremendously.